Hello, Dr. Pradnya. Welcome to the channel Kahanis Golden Bytes. Thank you for taking out your time to be on the channel, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Joby. It's my pleasure, completely my pleasure.
Thank you so much once again, Doctor. So, Doctor, for the benefit of our viewers, would you like to please share a little bit about your background, what you're doing, a little bit, please, so that our viewers have an idea before we start, Doctor?
So, hi, I'm Pradnya Manwatkar. I am a doctor, a dermatologist to be specific. I reside in Mumbai and practice in Mumbai as well, and in a place called Mahim. I'm actually from Aurangabad, so I'm a proud Aurangabadian.
Wow.
The place where all Ajanta and Ellora is. I'm from there, and I shifted to Bombay in 2008, in June of 2008, and I've been here since then. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Lovely. Nice to hear that. For me, perception in my head is, and I'm sure I'm not wrong on that, is that doctors require very serious studies, just not serious studies, but very serious studies. Now, in that kind of environment, your school and college, you would have been so much into books and academics that I'm guessing that you had no time to, okay, breathe, yes, because it happens naturally, but otherwise, did you have any time for anything else, any activity besides your studies, Doctor?
This broad smile on my face because we never studied.
Okay.
First year was like fun because you go into first year, you finish with your 12, you finish with your boards, you don't have to now study to score or get a seat or to get the best college. So you're in one of the best colleges and you've done it, so the first year is like,
Absolutely.
just going to study a week before the exam. So a lot of us did not end up studying, although I was considered as one of those freaks who studied a lot. But honestly speaking, I was someone, I think medicine per se or biology is so visual, right? That it was very easy that it was a very easy learning for me. Because I'm more of a visual person. So for me, if you described the bone of your arm, I could just remember it. I didn't have to go back and study much. So, that way medicine really worked for me because it was a visual art. It's like I call it visual science. So it worked there. So honestly speaking, we did have a lot of time on our hands. And first year was the year for explorations. It was the year for participating in everything. Rose Day, Valentine's Day, cultural activities, doing hundreds of things. You're trying to be in the committee. So yeah, so we could actually make time. 9 to 4, 8 to 4 was our college, and after 4, so we were like, so that was yeah. So in terms of time, I think I was extremely. I think we had it all. I think all of us do to a large extent.
Lovely, lovely. So, you somehow enjoyed your first year, so to speak. That it started off very well, but after that, it just got academics and nothing else. And
no, not at all. So after that, I think you get into the groove of it. You start understanding the subjects. The subjects do get tougher, obviously, because you start applying them. Third becomes completely patient oriented, so you're more focused on clinic rounds, you're more focused on the inpatients. But despite that, I think we all had a zeal towards enjoying because there was so much of suffering. There's so much of disease that at some point you want to get out of it and you want to say, okay, I want to do something for myself now, for my sanity. So we had so many of our my batchmates, including me. I used to go to the gym, I used to go play badminton. I started playing badminton in the first year of my like champion competition level badminton. Because we needed that time. Even friends, I never did it. I don't think I had the guts to do it, but I had a few friends who used to play a day before our exam. They were like, we want 1 hour off and we're just going to go play and then come. So I think by the time our years passed, we also understood that we needed that space, that me space, something to get out of this, this surrounding where we're constantly worried about someone else or worried about doing the right thing for that someone else. So yeah, that's where I think we started realizing the need to actually engage ourselves in something
Mm.
more meaningful. At least I did. I did that. I enjoyed it. So
Lovely, lovely. So Pradnya, once you got out of college, then uh, did you then get back into the life of just patients and home? And the serious studies may have taken a break, but
yeah.
for your profession, you need to keep on studying. That just doesn't end. But was it just then work and back home? Was it that was the end of all your activities because college was over?
Uh, well, fortunately, I've always somehow liked acting, and I think I'm a complete 80s child, growing up watching Madhuri, Salman, Shah Rukh. And for me, Bollywood has had a major influence. And I used to love those songs and that makeup and those outfits. And I wanted to, sometimes I used to even dream that, oh, what if I, was in Maine Pyar Kiya? What if? And so I've always had this inclination towards acting, and in college I did get opportunities. In MBBS, I did get opportunities to star and act in our college theater. I was
Okay.
actually given the Best Actress award by a very renowned Marathi director called Chandrakant Kulkarni. I later eventually worked with him on a professional level, so that was like the best part. But I do remember that. And so when I started, actually, when I shifted to Bombay and I started practice, I was very fortunate to bump into one of my favorite TV stars at that time. Her name is Vidya Patwardhan, and I will never forget her. She is basically a child theater artist. She works with children, and she used to come to the same gym I used to go to. So we ended up talking. I ended up telling her I'm a big fan of yours, and we just ended up chatting. She understood. She realized that I liked acting, and she offered. She asked me, "Would you like to be a part of a experimental play?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" And she said, "Fine. You do one thing. You come to this place. It's in Mahim where I stay, and it's called Avishkar. So Avishkar is basically a experimental theatre production house. It was started by Arvind Deshpande. So you come there. I had no idea what was Avishkar, who was who. He said, Dubey ji is directing a play. You come, and I honestly did not know who Dubey ji was. So I just ended up there saying, "Hi, hello, I want to come and do this." And it's only later I realized that I was so fortunate that my first play ever
Wow.
was directed by Satyadev Dubey.
So that is, you know, that's a lovely journey to start off with. You just skipped your entire theater part of it when you were in college, but here though you won the best actress there too, you now begin to dabble in theater, right? You started it. So how was that experience? Did you know was it a tick in the box you were over with? You enjoyed going to the movies and imagining, but you did your theater. Now it was over, and a tick in the box. Let me go somewhere else. That was the end of theater. Was that
No, theater always happened. I
okay?
did a lot of theater. I did a lot of experimental theater. I ventured into commercial theater as well. I worked with really nice and really renowned directors like Vijay Kekre, Chandrakant Kulkarni, Sushma Deshpande. So not that Pratima Kulkarni. I did one of my
Amazing,
is
amazing.
educating Rita, and I cannot thank Ajit Kelkar enough because he's the one who produced it and offered the role to me. And
Wow,
it's a classic. I love that play, and
wow,
directed it. So it was
wow.
experimental, but I've done a lot of plays, and
Mhm.
simultaneously, again, like I said, I was just very lucky to get offered a film. I got offered two films. I did lead roles in two Marathi films. I did
Mhm.
Jaga Jasoos. I was
Okay.
Miss Ala in Jaga Jasoos. And I did then, in the meanwhile, I also started getting audition offers for TV commercials. So I started with a big bang again there.
Wow.
Started with Prakash Verma from Nirvana Films, and that was like a huge thing. That put me onto that TVC section, where everyone was like, "Okay, who's this?" And you got like such a great ad. Like I did. That was
Wow.
something that I think I was just.
That's amazing. So here's a doctor who does, you know, not theater for a tick in the box, has been doing theater, several productions, one after the other, doing active theater and experimenting and dabbling with commercials. So it's blown my stereotype away of doctors just going to practice back home, and that's the end of my noble world and my world, so to speak. But so tell me, Pradnya, it gets me thinking that there are so many people who have, who keep saying that I have such a demanding profession, it demands so much. Uh, and then I've obviously, I've got to run back home for, the daily chores, etc. So you've, hit that ball out of the park. And, so what would you have to say to that group of people, that segment of people who seem to think that there is no time? There is no time. What do you have to say for that, Pradnya?
So I love it when, so I do this with my patients very often, and when I tell them that you need to exercise, they tell me I don't have time. And my favorite question to them is, okay, so how many hours in a day are there? And then they answer 24, right? Then I ask them, are you expecting someone to hand over 26 hours or 2 extra hours to you because you're someone special? Or what are you waiting for? Right? And you're never going to get time. You always have to make time. And I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to accept this concept of making time. So I've always tried to do that. I've always tried to do that. A lot of the times my folks have been, you do too many things. And I'm like, but yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be doing one thing only. I'm supposed to be doing multiple things, right? And I'm supposed to be happy while doing them. It's not about how good I am at them. It's about how happy it makes me, So I've consistently said that it's all about making time. I've had, I'm actually very, very lucky here to be sitting in front of you, sharing my experiences as a doctor. But I can tell you so many doctors out there who are doing so many beautiful things. They're dancers, they're writers, they're
Lovely.
sports, and they're trekking and biking. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I mean, and despite all of that, if you can make time, then anyone can make time, right? I think it's just a matter of habit.
So that's just lovely to hear, Doctor. So, if you feel that you should take out time, then you can take out time. Otherwise, you're never going to have time because, like you said, nobody's going to give it to you, right?
No one's going to give it to you. Yeah.
And this is absolutely lovely. It's a lovely example, Pradnya, that you're living your life. It's not a lecture. You're actually sharing what you're doing. So there's nothing that is better than that. That comes out as a very good example for people who are always cribbing about time, not crying about time or shortage of time, but what you've shown is you got to take out time, and that's what you're telling your patients, right?
Yeah, I'm telling everyone that you have to make time. I mean, there are no two ways about it. I do understand that, there are a lot of people out there who are actually struggling, and I totally get it. But at the end of the day, I always say that then here you have to prioritize. You have to prioritize your responsibilities. You can't say, I'm going to do everything in 24 hours. Then you have to sit down and say, okay, maybe I'm going to do this for this period of time, and then I'm going to shift to this, in the next period of time. But yeah, you have to make with it. You have to do it. You can't expect someone to hand over, this is your timetable for the next 20 years and, enjoy. It doesn't work like that.
Lovely. And Pradnya, as you said, a moment ago, is that what you're looking for is happiness.
Yeah.
So, theaters gives you happiness. Something else may give somebody else happiness, but what you've clearly showed is chase happiness as well as take out time yourself.
Yes.
That's lovely. Please.
I'd like to add one thing. This is what I learned. I think I learned it a little hard. I learned it a little hard way. But for the longest time, even when I was doing this, it was more about reaching a certain goal. It was more about standing on the stage and doing your first show, like the zero show, right? It was more about how many awards I was supposed to get. It was, obviously you do love you do want to act, but you also want to know what the result's going to be, right? Because you are in that phase. You do something to achieve something, right? It is only now in this stage of my life where I started realizing it's actually the process. The process that takes you, and that's the happiness that you should derive from. It's not about the happiness that I'm going to get at the end of the road. It's about the happiness that I'm getting while I'm traveling the road. And I think that perspective has really helped me do even more now, because then now I'm not focused on where I'm going to be in 2 years. Now I'm just focused on the now and what I love doing now. And that has really opened even more gateways for me. And that's just amazing.
Dr. Pradnya, thank you so much for your time. I know, I've taken a lot of your time. I've taken time away from the patients, your valuable time there. But I want to thank you so much for coming on the channel and sharing your views. Thank you so much, Dr. Pradnya.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure completely.